others very well. Seems they took the high road around the time you fell. Float on in the water of life.
We're at the poorhouse, going through sound checks, getting ready for the show. This is Mark Griffin with the New Aquarian.
It's me. All the band stuff I'll knock out first. New Aquarian kind of grew out of like a solo project that I was doing in the studio by myself, essentially, recording everything and writing and stuff. And then my old band, Jimmy, a tour sort of fell apart when that band had to come to an end. And I ended up forming a band to tour on the solo material I had been writing. And that's sort of where New Aquarian came out of. And since then it's solidified into more of a like true band kind of thing. Which at the moment we're all living 3 hours apart and stuff, so you know, it is what it is.
You're a songwriter and lyric writer?
Yeah, pretty much. I think of myself these days, honestly, more as a songwriter than like a guitar player or a musician or whatever, just because it's more so my focus now, I guess, is I want to make good songs first and like write challenging music second.
Is that challenging, like musically or lyrically?
Yeah, virtuosically. You know what I mean? I'd rather play 3 simple chords and say something that means something than like, you know, scale after scale and like not really have anything like come out of it.
Have not anything like vocally to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've always jokingly said, like when people ask us what kind of genre we are, we're a feel band. Like we play like we're a feelings kind of thing more than like anything else, you know.
When you find a haven, well, I hope that you're at ease. 'Cause soon it's time to move on once again. There's so much emptiness when loneliness prevails. But bitterness makes love mean so much more. With those familiar blues, you know it's true. Life comes back in everything you do.
Have your shows thus far been limited to Raleigh and or the towns kind of surrounding it?
Actually, I've been lucky enough to do 2 or 3 East Coast tours at this point, which have been up to like around Massachusetts and back down here. Just because I have a lot of friends like up and down the coast from playing in different bands over the years, and so yeah, I've been lucky enough to be able to travel some, and it's really what I want to do. The majority of them have been around North Carolina though. It's just as easy to do a loop around North Carolina and tour for 2 weeks as it is to do a loop up the coast. So.
Souls down, find some peace. After that long journey, so full of joy and pain. When you find a haven, well, I hope that you're at ease. 'Cause soon it's time to move on once again.
You've played here before, though.
Yes, this particular spot. Yeah, I love the Poorhouse, dude. It's a great spot.
Yeah. In a very general sense, what are your thoughts on the Raleigh music scene?
I think it's really strong. It's interesting because Asheville is obviously like the big music place in North Carolina, but it is known to be the big music place in North Carolina. but because of that, it's sort of having like a Nashville effect, where like so many people have gone there in the last half decade, you know, that like it's oversaturated, and because of that, I think towns like Greensboro and Raleigh are ending up like breeding some really interesting scenes just because they're like adjacent to that kind of oversaturation, but not suffering from it.
I gave myself a blister on the outside of my finger somehow. Never happened before.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I saw a news clip just this past week of it wasn't even really news. It was about a teacher who dropped everything, including her job, to go to North Carolina to become an R&B singer. I mean,
yeah, like that's exactly like that's what you used to hear about, you know, like L.A. or Seattle. Like, but these days people go to places like Nashville and Athens, and Georgia's another one that tons of people move to for music. It's interesting. There's a very healthy amount of scenes down here in the Southeast right now.
Takes me down newfound roads and leads me home again.
Put your bag.
Those feelings hanging on. When willpower's gone.
Gotta make a little swap. That's the fun part about playing by yourself, you know, you get to handle all the instruments.
you feel like certain genres are more catered to in Raleigh?
I feel like not any more so than anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, I think genre is the kind of thing where it's always like you gotta find your niche wherever you are. But I will say Raleigh is very much like a rock and like metal and punk town, I think, which is like, you know, I grew up on that. It's every band I've been in before this, that's what I played, you know, so like it's sort of ingrained in me. I really appreciate it. Greenville, the town I'm really close to, it's like pretty much a little underground punk scene with like 20 people in it, you know, but it's a beautiful thing. So, and Raleigh's a similar vibe, but a lot bigger, I think.
So what songs are we doing? I think we're just gonna go through the first part of the set list. Do you want to do any harder ones since we advertise ourselves as funky and Sucker Punch and Pleasantly aren't particularly funky? We want to start with Cancer Sign. We'll do Cancer Sign and then cut, and then we'll start in media res. You know, Cancer Sign, Cunt, and then well, let's get for after that.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I am the lead singer and rhythm guitarist of Stranding Bandits. We're a wannabe punk group based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We've been around for a little over 3 years now. We got started just kind of how most bands do. A couple of guys got together and for a jam session, and it kind of went from there. And after a few practices, we decided to form a band, and we've been writing and performing our own music ever since, largely in the Raleigh area, but we've managed to get out a little bit as well. I've been the singer and the rhythm guitarist from the beginning. It's been the same 4 guys the whole time, me, Matt, Arjun, and DJ, which has been pretty special.
As far as you as a musician and you as the new Aquarian, do you feel Raleigh has served you pretty well?
Yeah, we've always loved coming up to Raleigh. You know, I mean, as you know, both Jimmy and New Aquarian played at Greenhouse like a dozen times each, and that was like genuinely our favorite spot for a really long time. You know, it felt like home to play there, and there are some really similar places around Raleigh too that are more like established, like the Poorhouse. We've been here a handful of times, and it's like I mean, you can walk right up here and just hang out. It's really great.
Yeah, like I said, these are all new songs, so I don't think I've played most of them in front of people yet.
Coming through the mournful mist from another time beyond the end. Thinking of the lives they miss, melancholy souls once folks and kin. Turned away by light of daybreak, such strange feelings.
The kind of music we write has slightly varied. We started out definitely a little more in the blues. I think that's just because what we were comfortable with. This is the first band I've ever been in, first time I've ever tried writing or recording or performing music live, so it's been a really fun experience. Several of the guys were actually in some other bands before this band together, so they had a little bit more knowledge. But since our sounds kind of evolved to a more heavier, punkier side, but we like to call ourselves wannabe punk because we're still not really traditional punk as most people hear it. It's been a really fun experience though, and I love the local Raleigh scene. All the bands we play with on the regular are just great people. And
Yeah, sure. So I'm Arjun Chat. I play bass guitar for Shrine of Bandits, and I was like the bass guitarist pretty much from the start. Right when the band started, I had actually gone back home, which is India. That's where I'm from. And I came back, and there were already talks about starting the band, and they needed a bass player. So I was like, yeah, I can play bass for the band. And it's just something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to play music, be in a band ever since I was a kid. I would play guitar when I was younger. And I was the guitarist in the previous band that me, Matt, and DJ were in, and that transformed into this band. So that's when I pretty much picked up the bass and stuck with it ever since. I think most of because of our different tastes that we had in music growing up and the different tastes that we had, practicing and playing on our own when we came together, it was definitely all of our influences just being pushed into one song or one genre, and that's why it's so hard for us be pinned down as in a particular genre. So for me, a lot of my bass lines, they're either melodic to fit a softer tone or heavier to fit a heavier tone, of course. And for me, growing up, my biggest influences, or two of them, were Nirvana and the Beatles. Paul McCartney and Chris Novoselic, they both, their music and their way of bass playing has definitely followed through and shown itself in the band. And it's definitely been great for us and our style of music and this sort of genre we think we fit in or we try to fit in. But as a music scene, it's super open. It's any person is welcome no matter what. We've played with classic rock bands, we played with folk bands, with indie bands, so it's a good, welcoming environment.
And what song are you playing?
We're gonna do, let's do Sunflower Girl. You guys wanna do that?
Check. We're gonna do a newer song. It's called Sunflower Girl. We're gonna release it. We're looking at January of next year.
I can fit. Oh man.
Gordon, you ready?
Alright,
found out that we both enjoyed playing music. I used to have a tree house in the back that we'd jam at, and we've been in bands for years. Fast forward past college, where we went our own separate ways. It was July 28th, 2013, around 9:24 p.m. when he sent me a message on Messenger saying, "Hey, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and I'd really like to give this whole band thing another try." And I said, "You know what? Let's do it." And so he moved down. He slept on the couch. I was in Wilmington at the time, and we started, just messing around with ideas. And then our good friend Logan came in from the Clayton area down there as well. And then we started forming a band with a friend of Will's named Sam. And that was like the first iteration of Lunchbox Hero. An idea of what music we wanted to write. Will and I decided to move up to the Raleigh area. We figured it'd be a much better opportunity for the band, and career-wise and just family-wise, everything else going on. And we were just a two-piece at the time. And then we recruited Gordy.
My name is Gordy. I am the drummer and part-time vocalist. As far as the band goes, we're all high school buddies. I've been playing on and off with Will for about 20 years. I've been in this band for probably about 5-6 years. And I've always wanted to do music ever since I was 3 years old. So being able to play out on a professional level is amazing. We do like to play Raleigh every now and then. It's a great scene and a lot of support behind it. The genres do kind of vary. We do see a lot of hardcore, post-hardcore, a lot of metal. We try to squeeze in between with more indie kind of feel, which I think is, has a good reception to it. But it's the mixed markets that we try to go after, kind of reach out to the audience.
Not too long after moving, after trying a couple different musicians out, and Will's been playing with Gordy for years prior as well. I never had the opportunity to play with him, so this is my first time, and I've been enjoying it. And we were the Lunchbox, that trio for a while, right? And after a while, we decided to play a lot more shows. I would become the singer, right? I was very nervous about that because at the time Logan was driving up from Wilmington up to this area to practice weekly, and that was a lot of driving to do. And I figured at some point he'd pull back and say, "Hey, I can't be a part of this." And when he did, I took the mantle of being the front man and singer, and we played Festivus. That was put on by FBT 4 years ago. And that was a pivotal moment because it was at that moment that I was like, we could do this as a three-piece. Fast forward a couple years later, and Will had to talk with me about having a family, and I said, "Cool, if you need to pull out, go for it, start your family." And that's where Alex came in as the bassist. And then we started playing as a trio again. Will then figured out that the whole kid thing isn't as cumbersome as some may think. So we pulled him back as a second guitarist. I never wanted a second guitarist, but if it's Will, I'll pull him in for whatever, triangle, tambourine, whatever it may be. I guy's my best friend in the world, so I absolutely love having him here. I think Raleigh has been growing, and I feel a weird hamstring this, right? Because I only know one piece of the puzzle, right? Like the more punk rock, more heavier style, not that we play. This is just the crowd that we play, the bands that we play with. I think it serves them. I think it serves them well. I've gone to some shows, some local bands that I've played. The Bronze Age, the Second After, Front Side. Some of these other bands that I've played, and there's a good response. They played the Poorhouse not too long ago, earlier this year, and it was wall to wall people, and I'm like, this is incredible. I like seeing this. I think it also serves most genres fairly well, be it from blues. I mean, they have the Blues Festival downtown Raleigh. They have, I've seen everything from more just rock to pop bands to electronic bands. So I think Raleigh serves as a whole very well to most genres.
Bartender, everybody working tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to walk around and talk and chat amongst yourselves when after the show. Check out these nonprofit organizations. All proceeds today are going to them. I'm so happy we can be a part of that. Y'all rock. Thank you.
You want me to start? Yeah. So the background of our band, and also tied in that kind of how we started. We are identical twins. So we've grown up together our whole lives. First time that we kind of figured out that we could sing, we started singing together. Kind of found our love for music, and especially in the forefront, our love for writing music and writing lyrics. Yeah. I think the first official thing that we did really was starting our YouTube channel when we were 8 years old, because we were like, we want to share some of this music, we want to share some of this stuff with people. And so we kind of started to get the ball rolling, learning more about how everything works, and we would listen to music all the time, kind of learn some favorite songs and sing along to them. For me, I kind of started with poetry and things like that, and then I was like, wow, I could put music to this, so kind of try that out and made some songs. And I wrote some of my first original songs with the keyboard that I had in my bedroom. I didn't know how to play guitar yet, and I didn't own one yet. We learned guitar basically self-taught, went to a summer music camp when we were about 12, 13. That's when we learned how to play guitar. Then our mom bought us our first little, junior guitar. As long as they've been together, the longer the time goes by, the more comfortable you get with each other, and the more you learn how to interpret each other. And I just love doing harmony as well. I've learned over the years. It comes more naturally as well. So that's something I really love about writing with Michaela. Genre
Let's
bending,
start
I
with
like
that.
that. Genre bending alternative rock. Yeah, so I guess I would put a little bit of punk influence in there. But we did start out when it was, just the two of us. We really started out folk, pop, acoustic. So, every once in a while that will come through. I think that everything that, we've tried and learned over the years kind of progressively molds into the music that we play now, but kind of taking it to different levels and experimenting with different kind of genres. But rock is what I usually tell people. It was just acapella, purely acapella. So we kind of learned how to work with each other's voices.
So I came up here for college at NC State, and I think maybe around my sophomore year, I met some folk and started hanging out with them, and that included Matt and I believe Arjun. Both of them were there, and so they mentioned they did music stuff, and I had been doing a little bit of drumming before, but never with the band. So I talked with them, and we started doing little jam sessions in their apartment, crammed into a little room, and it was a lot of fun. So we played together a bit, then that became one band that lasted for a couple months, and then we broke up, and about a little bit after that broke up, we met up with Isaac, and that all connected, and then we just kind of formed a band together. So I think Arjun joined in too around the time Isaac was. I think it was me and Matt in the band first. But yeah, so I met everyone, just came up here to Raleigh for school, and then met everyone just by luck, just friends of friends, and then jamming out, and it worked out.
So my name's Matt. I'm the lead guitarist, and I have been part of Stranded Bandits since the beginning of it. And me and DJ were in a band called Banana Jam before that. Me, Arjun, and DJ have played music together for like 6 years, something like that. Then Isaac is the newest member. He joined at the founding part of Stranded Bandits. He was part of founding of it. But I'm from Cartersville, North Carolina. It's about an hour and a half away, And I have always wanted to be a musician. I didn't think there was really any way to make money from it, like playing in music, but professionally I do sound engineering and things like that too. So I found a way to like make money in the music field and also do what I love, which is actually playing music. I do a lot of the recording, mixing, and mastering for Stranded Bandits. I help run Real Local, which is a video production company for around here, and stuff like that. So, well, we've been described as loud, high-energy wannabe punk, and I love that description. So that's how I'll describe us. But in reality, we make whatever music we feel like making. So it's pretty a pretty big variety. We have slower, more psychedelic tunes, and we also have faster tunes like Shrimp Fried Fuck, things like that. We did this to make music, and we're just happy that people seem to like it enough to continue listening to us. So we do tend to draw more of like the younger crowd, I would say. At least from what we've looked online at our statistics for social media, it tends to stick harder with like the male crowd, which I think that kind of goes with punk in general sometimes we're starting up. But we're getting more females involved in it, which is really nice. And like as all of like the whole music scene in Raleigh right now I think it's better. Like it's smaller because of COVID. But I think it's not a bad thing because it gives newer bands a chance to actually get up and get their name out there. Raleigh is definitely a college town. I mean, I've lived here for going on 7 or 8 years, but it's definitely going downtown. There's definitely more of a younger crowd, especially at the small venues, and so being a genre that's really high energy, and we try to always get the crowd involved in some way. So I think that helps involve people in it. We're not that band that sits in the corner when you're playing, like playing bar games and drinking beer. Like we're that band that gets in your face. Issues in Raleigh, just like looking at it, and cities like it is the musicians needing to make more money for things. Like the bars tend to be in this loop of like, oh hey, I can get person X who plays with a really good wedding band to come in here and play for $50. Why does this local band want more than that to come in and play? Like some detrimental parts. It's just I don't really know any to exactly say. Like I think one of the big positives would be that it would actually give musicians a livable wage, because like as a sound guy, I've worked with a lot of local musicians who you go in there with 4 guys, you walk out with, like I said, $50. It's like that like that doesn't cover gas to get to the venue, much less any drinks you have to buy while you're out there. Generally, from what I've heard from people outside of Raleigh, like I have a bunch of friends who don't live here, and they definitely know it's a more progressive town, which is nice, and that the music, and they know it's a relatively large music scene. I mean, we were in the Rolling Stones magazine as one of the fastest growing music scenes before COVID in the nation, which is pretty interesting. But then COVID hit. So, but
Of course.
yeah, I don't think there's that many misconceptions really overall. So.
I don't think there's one particular genre. There's a couple different scenes that I've been able to witness, you know, which makes sense that, you know, for different genres there'd be different scenes because most people will be into one of them. Pretty kind, you know. I think, and maybe in other cities we might do a bit better because the scene for our style of music might be a bit bigger. I don't think like the kind of rock scene is as big in Raleigh as other areas, but I mean it's been kind enough, you know. I mean people are still enthusiastic and have a good time. I like what we're going with right now, Wannabe Punk. It's just this weird kind of fusion where there's, you know, there's punk and blues and hard rock and like traces of psychedelic in there. I would say that's kind of generally what we would be. Is a fusion of those four elements: earth, fire, water, and air.
So I met the band through some friends. I met Ben through mutual friends. And then I went to one of their shows when Will was playing bass, and I thought, I'm going to be in that band somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be in that band. And I started filling in for Will, and then it just transitioned to me being in bass, playing bassist. I am not from here. I am from California, actually, and I've been playing music for now like 20-something years, and yeah, moving here and playing music was hard. Leaving that scene and then coming to this one was different. I mean, over there, I felt it was just kind of cutthroat in a sense. Like there's some camaraderie, but not as like it is here. Here it's just let's all get together and play music together. You know, it's.
So oddly enough, I've known Ben since late elementary school. We started playing music together. We've kind of just always played music. As far as the start of Lunchbox Hero, I lived on the Outer Banks and broke up with my girlfriend and was ready for a change. So I called Ben and was like, hey man, you want to put a band together? And he was like, sure. I was like, sweet, I can move in with you in 2 weeks. And he thought I was kidding. 2 weeks later, I showed up at his house with all my stuff and we started Lunchbox Hero. I think Raleigh has served our band well. As far as genres go, I feel like there's a decent spread that we're able to kind of play along with. Raleigh's been good to us. When we lived in Wilmington, Wilmington was also good to us, but we were kind of limited on how big we could grow just because of geographic location. Here in Raleigh, we're able to also play in like Greenville's right down the road, Greensboro, Durham. There's just more opportunities to play. So I do think Raleigh and Charlotte, they're pretty well known kind of on the national level. We do have some good acts that come through and play. One thing that I'd like for people to know is that we do have good turnouts at venues. People do go to shows in our area, and it'd be nice for some of these touring bands to make the stop off here. Absolutely. So a lot of venues have closed down. A lot of the DIY spots are not doing any of the DIY stuff anymore. And so the scene, I feel like, kind of fragmented a little bit. There became the separation between DIY and venue versus I think before there was a little more overlap. They weren't really in their own corners. So I would say we're kind of a do-it-yourself, maybe alternative punk rock band. We try to perform and have high energy, so it's worth coming out to see us live. We're not a studio only band. Part of going to see live music is the show itself. If we're not being entertaining and entertaining the audience, then we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. I won't be back next year. The mix between like an alt rock, dad rock, and pop punk. So yeah, that's a very good.
I haven't played that song on bass since before the plague.
I joined like right before the whole pandemic happened. Like a few months right before it kind of took over. I was playing some shows, and then I just spent most of my time recording at that point. I played a handful of shows, but I haven't really felt my place now until now when everything opened back up, and I felt like, all right, yeah, I'm the bassist for Noise Flex. Yeah, I think the scene here, well, I think what it is, I don't think it matters what kind of band it is or music. I think if you just bring energy, if you just bring a fun aspect of your band to it, no matter what kind of music it is, I think that's what people want. And I think we definitely deliver that on the stage and just in our music in general. We want to be fun. We want to play fun music for everybody and have a good time.
That felt good.
That's how it's done. Yeah, I think I would want people to know that it's more than just like it's a southern band, you know, we're a band in the South in a sense. And I think if you heard that, you would think this is like bluegrass or country, but it's totally not, you know. I would never expect this kind of scene when I moved here. And then I remembered my favorite band is from Raleigh, Between the Buried and Me, and that's a metal band, and you know, like that to me, like that says it all. But and then a lot of people forget, like a lot of bigger acts have come through here and or come from here, and I think I've never expected that it was this energetic rock.
What do you
want to do?
Let's do whatever.
Here and talked to friends of mine back in California, that was, you know, no, and I'll be honest, there was some tough, it was tough to find bands for me that I wanted to be in and play with, because all I got was either top 40 bands, but that's everywhere, church groups, or like heavy thrash metal, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not finding what I want. But then I didn't realize that you know, thank God for meeting Ben, and if I just would have went to actual venues and shows, I would have realized like, oh, there's this scene that's starting to really, you know, come up. So. That's I think especially with heavy recognition of like 90s rock is definitely there. You know, I think it's the alternative, I think that's, you know, carrying that nostalgic part of it, I think is heavy in this band. Especially and then we have that pop punk feel to it.
And now we've just been playing as this foursome for quite a while now, maybe like 2 years. Right as the pandemic started, we played our first show. We shut things down. We started writing a little bit more, and then we started playing back this year again, and we've been prominent as a four piece. We're seeing a response that we felt comfortable with, which is, you know, people moving around, clapping or bobbing their heads, and it's just a good time. There's two ways that you could experience it, right? Music, I think in itself is an experience. It's either going to be experienced through headphones, which I hope sounds bombastic and perhaps a bit complex, and it's layered and has energy behind it. You know, I'd say that's what it is. I'm not too much a fan of trying to pick genres, as I feel like, to quote George Clinton, music itself is colorblind. It is the radio stations that want to put them in genres and, in essence, color them. So I think there's a big benefit to not delving down the avenue of genres per se, but I think it is very energetic. I think it has a lot of complexities to it. We write it with that intent. And to be honest, I think seeing it live is kind of the true way to experience the music, as we have a lot of fun. We really like to bring people up on stage. We want people to feel a part of it, and we really like to get people moving around. You know, if one person in the crowd is jumping around, clapping, and just having a good time, then we've done our job.
No, it's been closer to like 4 or 5 months now, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5 months maybe. Yeah, we saw him at one. He was playing drums with another band that he's currently still in. They rock, and we went to one of their shows and saw him, and just started a conversation with him afterwards, and kind of just clicked, and we were like, let's jam sometime. We're actually looking for a drummer right now if you're looking to join any other bands. And he was open-minded, and we jammed, and just really clicked from there. And
he's a really, really talented drummer, and he's great with the style that we want to do, and he's written amazing parts to our original music.
Every time that we've been here, we find that people take kindly to our music, and they take kindly to seeing new bands. And as musicians, you travel a lot. Some places you go, it's that type of music. Some places you go, it's not that type of music that people will normally migrate to or listen to. And so coming to Raleigh, I've definitely found that people are more open-minded to the rock scene, which makes me happy, which I love, and just that they want to support new bands. You don't see that often, and it's nice to see when somebody wants to support somebody new, and that they're just now hearing and kind of spread the word about them, follow them, come to the next show.
It's always a great thing to recognize, like, in a new city. So.
Yeah, and it means a lot to the bands. Certain lineups and things. Also here at the Poorhouse, probably just seeing like flyers and everything, just seeing different bands, being welcomed, different genres, which I think is really special. And because Raleigh is a bigger city, you will be getting a little bit of everything, which is great. Yeah, really great. That we're not afraid to push the limits and really just create what comes naturally to us, because I believe that that's what every band and musician and artist in general should do. Don't be afraid to be yourself, put yourself in your art, even if it doesn't match the current, stigma of the genre you're supposed to be in. People in the industry will tell you that, but think about bands like Queen and all kinds of bands in the past that decided to just say, no, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to put my music out there. And to me, that's always been eternally inspiring.
as far as myself, I'm from Farmville, which is like an hour east of here. And I've always been into music. Like, you know, some of my earliest memories are like watching my dad's like Led Zeppelin and like Neil Young like VHS tapes that he had from back in the day and stuff like that. So yeah, music's just sort of, ever since I picked it up, it's been like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
LP is the main focus right now, and then after that, to be determined. You know, we got folk who may or may not be, you know, because we've been together for 2 or 3 years now, and there's the 4 of us, and we've been lucky that we've been all sticking around. But there may be chances of people going their own, you know, moving off for other things for life. So that may or may not happen. So yeah, we're kind of focused on the LP for now, and then, you know, just constantly reassessing as we move forward.
benefit from just having a few more DIY venues, and I think that could definitely help out. Otherwise, though, I think it has a good fundamental, a good community, which I think is also very important in any type of scene, that supports each other, that promotes each other, and I think we need a little bit more of that, not just have a record.
It's surprising to look back and realize how welcoming people were, you know, these young kids that were just like, we want to play music everywhere here, and just kind of started getting to know everybody and all the venues and, you know, places in town, and yeah, it was a really good kind of takeoff from there.
The scene, I'd say, is really kind of all over the place. It's very homey, very friendly. You know, most of the bands you come across, super nice people, very inviting.
It's a good field to like plant all the little seeds in for a lot of bands and like watch things grow. And like you said, there's a lot of growth that gets acknowledged.